So Antonio Conte looks like he's going to Chelsea. He's revealed that he is not going to be Italy's manager after the Euros this summer. He hasn't signed yet, but it looks like it's a done deal. What can Chelsea expect from Antonio Conte?
Well, the first thing they can expect is a winner. I don't think there's any doubt about that. You look at his entrance to Juventus in 2011, and they'd finished 7th under Luigi Del Neri the previous season, and he just met the players for the first time. He said, "Aren't you tired of being so crap?" And they really responded from then. His first season, they were unbeaten. They were the first team to go unbeaten through a 20-team Serie A season, and they built from there. Because
I think the top line is that he's done really well at Juventus, won 3 Serie A titles.
A winner as a player and a manager.
A winner as a player and a manager, exactly. But actually, if you go beyond that, as a manager, he's been a winner at Bari in his first job, at Siena as well. His win percentage for all of his managerial career is incredibly high, 67% win percentage at Juventus. So that is exactly what Chelsea need, right?
Yeah, and I think what you're looking for is some sort of adaptability as well. And Conte has that tactically. I think he's a pragmatist. He's not wedded to ideas. He's wedded to a philosophy in terms of the attitude that he expects from his players, the motivation, the sort of fitness that he expects from his players. The one complaint about him, and maybe the feeling that they didn't do quite as well as they could in Europe, was born around the fact there was no 90% switch. He was intense the whole time. He was intense the whole time. There was the sense, of course, the season after he left, Juventus got to the Champions League final, and maybe that's because Massimiliano Allegri, who certainly wasn't anybody's first choice for Juventus coach, he knew how to step off a little bit, and maybe that allowed the players to recover a little bit.
Would the other side of that be maybe it was just another year of development of Antonio Conte's side, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's an argument to be made for that. I think you could say after 3 extraordinarily achievement-filled years, it was time to hear from a different voice. I think, if you look at someone like Jurgen Klopp lasting for 7 years at Dortmund, that is very much the minority now. That rarely happens. 3 years is a long time to be at one club, especially one top club. The thing that would concern me more about Conte, has he got the support in terms of football management? Juventus are a very, very stable club, very well managed club. They've been given so much extra, both in terms of the feeling around the club and financially, by owning their own stadium, the J Stadium, and by the atmosphere and feeling it creates. I think any sort of coach that's going to go into Chelsea needs some help, really, needs a bridge between Abramovich and himself that's maybe a little bit more effective than Emenalo.
Yeah, I mean, Flavio, Pochettino, as a Spurs fan, he's had a couple of years to get it sorted out, and he's been given the power to do so, and you're reaping the benefits as you smile back at me. If you put yourself into the shoes of a Chelsea fan, if he goes there, that will be the 12th manager in 13 seasons, I think. There doesn't seem to be any chance of a sort of lasting legacy there. So as a Chelsea fan that would have gone through this season after being champions last year, what would you see as a successful season for Antonio Conte next year?
Given his track record, as you say, the win percentage is insane. It's very rare that you see that in management, certainly at the level that Juventus have been playing and Italy. But anything other than the title is unacceptable for Chelsea. With the money they can spend, the money they have spent, that squad, despite underperforming this season, is still an excellent football team. With the right manager, with the right motivation, winning the league is what they need to be aspiring to. I just wonder if his style is suited to the English game. He usually plays 3 at the back, although you said that for Juve he's played 4 at times. But does he's kind of defensively minded, or essentially defensively sound, and plays that 3 at the back? Will that work in England?
Well, I think it will, and I think
even with a squad that doesn't have many centre backs or many strikers.
Of course, we can't really judge it because the squad's going to change. There's no doubt he's going to spend some money, but he's a pragmatist. Really, he adapts his tactics to the players that are there. He played a very attacking 4-4-2 at Bari, for example. He's been playing 4-4-2 with Italy recently. He's got a commitment to 2 up front, whether he's playing 3 at the back or 4, and I think that's very, very important, you know, especially when you look at how well, say, Leicester and even Watford have done.
Yeah.
You know, I think we could be seeing a big flush of two up front coming back into the English game. And I think that would be really exciting and really interesting. Conte's teams are defensively sound, but they're just so focused and competitive. And I think if you look back at the best Chelsea teams over the last 15 years, that's what they are. You know exactly what you're going to get with them. You know, like take it away from great football and all that sort of stuff. But you know, a team that's just really horrible to play against. And I think that's what you can expect from Conte's team.
Another spanner in the works is that, so we on Twitter, we asked you guys what should be the main priority for Conte if he takes charge of Chelsea. 57% said that bringing through the youth it should be the #1 priority. Now, they've got really great players there. Tammy Abraham scored 41 goals last season, and scored quite a few in the under-21s this year. Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well, who's only actually played one Premier League game. So it hasn't happened. But if you've got those expectations of winning the league, but also bringing through the youth, yeah, we've seen it with teams like Man United, but can he realistically do that?
Well, I think if you're talking about bringing through 6, 7 at the same time, you know, you're looking at starting from absolute scratch, and you know, you're looking at transitional periods, unless it's an exceptional generation. And I think it's probably easier for Chelsea fans to accept, you know, at least the idea of a transitional season because of what they've been through.
There's got to be huge frustration here. 6 out of the last 8 seasons they've made the FA Youth Cup final. So there's players there that are decent. And I guess with Antonio Conte, he turned Pogba into a world-class player. So that's got to be a hope for Chelsea fans, right?
He helped to turn Pogba slowly into a world-class player. But of course, he didn't come through the ranks. It's a sort of different situation. Of course, the way in which big clubs pick up young players is totally different nowadays. But, you know, I think if you look at Chelsea's record in bringing through young players over the last however many years and what they're aiming to do in terms of trophies, and of course they'll have plenty of room to concentrate on the Premier League because they might not have European football at all next season, which incidentally is something that really helped Conte in his first season at Juventus, so it could be quite similar in that sense. If they get even 2 or 3 players that become regular picks in that 18 from that youth squad, that's a huge success. We shouldn't be expecting 6 or 7 to come through. That's not realistic.
Right. Well, again, especially when we've got so many players out on loan, you should be able to blood a few of those. One person, John Terry, got to talk about that. Well, there's John Terry, there's Eden Hazard, there's Diego Costa. Which players would you look to keep at Chelsea?
If I was a Chelsea fan, I know they've got a massive affection for John Terry and Drogba and whatnot in the past. I think it's time to let that go. It's kind of too romantic, too idealistic. They've just got to let Conte come in, as Pochettino did at Spurs, and let him mould that team and the club in his own image. I don't hope it happens. I hope he falls on his arse. but you know, if I was a Chelsea fan, that's what I would just say. You know, let him come in, let him bring his ideas in. If that means Terry's out the door, then so be it.
So let us know what you think in the comments below. Who should be coming to Chelsea in the summer? Should Antonio Conte? Is it a good idea that he's going to be there, or is it going to be a complete disaster? Let us know. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the Wall Street channel.